This episode is brought to you by Imagine Strength, your go-to for safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. Growing a successful high-intensity training business requires workout equipment that's not only high quality, but also intelligently designed to fit the unique needs of your studio. And that's where Imagine Strength comes in. Drawing on the wisdom of the legendary Arthur Jones, Imagine Strength has crafted a groundbreaking line of fitness equipment that's as affordable as it is efficient, giving your studio the upgrade it needs without breaking the bank. The team at Imagine Strength breathes HIIT. Their passion for high-intensity training shines through in their designs, which they've consistently refined and innovated for optimum effectiveness and user experience. From my personal experience at Rec, I can attest to the careful consideration and craftsmanship that goes into every single piece. My Imagine Strength workout was absolutely brutal, in a good way, of course. Now, what makes Imagine Strength truly stand out? They have innovative equipment tailored for the unique needs of HIIT studios, affordable and efficient designs, lowering the barriers to entry for a HIIT business, continuous innovation and refinement ensuring your studio stays ahead of the curve. Founder Jeff Turner and his team are dedicated to moving the HIIT industry forward and making strength training accessible to more people than ever before. Here's how you get started. Number 1, visit imaginestrength.com. Number 2, discuss your specific needs with the team. And number 3, select the equipment that will propel your business to the next level. Head to imaginestrength.com today and give your HIIT business the Imagine Strength edge. Be part of the HIIT revolution and see firsthand how their unique equipment can transform your studio's workout experience. Elevate your HIIT business with Imagine Strength. Lauren Snell here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for elevating your HIIT business and fueling your passion for high-intensity training. Please leave a review on iTunes. This really helps the podcast grow and helps more people learn about HIIT and build a HIIT business. And secondly, to get more clients for your high-intensity training business, download our free anti-aging and strength training sales presentation. You can use this presentation for your next speaking engagement or client seminar to convert more leads and retain more clients. You can download now over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. That's FREE. You'll also get access to all of our free HIIT business resources, including short PDFs on how to attract great personal trainers, 10 tips to get more clients, and much, much more. So you can download that now over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. This is episode 416. I'm very excited about this. I am here with Pete Cerqua, a high-intensity fitness coach and creator of the 90-second fitness workout protocol. He's been professionally coaching since 1985. Pete is also a 5-time best-selling author for Simon & Schuster and Skyhorse Publishing. His new program, $1 Million Trainer, shows personal trainers how to earn 7 figures per year, which he sounds incredibly passionate about. So I'm excited to learn about that as well. Pete, great to be with you. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's wonderful, Lawrence.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I love your, what is that, a mahogany desk behind you? That's kind of one of my life goals, Pete, is to be able to have a nice office like yours one day.
Thank you.
So I'd love to just start at the start. How did you get into training, and what was the inspiration that led you to, focus on kind of the high intensity training approach or a brief and frequent style of training?
It's funny that at one point people were calling me an overnight success if you didn't count the first 10 or 15 years that I put into it. So I always wanted to be in health and fitness, and I was born in the 60s, raised in the 70s. If you think back to that time period, and you look like you're a little young for that, but there were no personal trainers. You had Jane Fonda, Richard Simmons, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jack LaLanne. That was pretty much it. When in high school, I graduated high school in 1981, and I wanted to go to college to be a person. I knew I wanted to be a coach or a trainer. They only offered phys ed teacher or football coach, so it was very limiting. So I said, well, you know what, then I'm gonna have to figure this out on my own. I went to New Jersey and Atlantic City, worked as a blackjack dealer at Caesars, and saved up. It took me 4 years to save up enough money to open up my first gym. And that was called South Shore Muscle and Fitness in South Jersey, right by the beach. And it was just a little bit different than your regular musclehead gym. I was welcoming, and this sounds funny, but I was welcoming women. I made it an inviting environment to get more females into the gym atmosphere. That was rare in 1984. So in 1985, I was underway. I was training people for free. If you were a member of the gym, paying the $25 a month membership, which is not a lot of money, you got me as a trainer for free if you wanted it. I could spot you or give you workouts or write them up. And I was into it. So I just dove right in at that point.
Why? How come you were aware that women were? Why do you target women?
Women weren't really part of the gym scene. The first gym I worked out at in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I was raised up in Scranton, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. Um, the gym I went to was powerlifting and bodybuilding. That was the two camps. There were literally two women. One of them was the owner's girlfriend, and her friend were the only two women out of the entire gym that came in and worked out. No women were powerlifting. And there was definitely limited bodybuilding. If you remember the professional bodybuilding back in around 1980, I think her name was Rachel McLeish, was the Miss Olympia. Very feminine looking, not a lot of muscle at all. Did work out with weights, but she was opening up doors for women at that point who thought weightlifting was ridiculous back then.
Right, and so still, it's interesting to me because it doesn't sound like it was very popular among women, and obviously you could see the benefits. Yeah, but why would you focus on a a, uh, a demographic which at the time doesn't sound like they were banging down your door?
Well, some people at the time called it stupidity. You really don't know what you're doing. And it took 10 years to build it and to really get people to warm up to it, and I was selling it all the time. When I was much younger, it was a calling to me. I knew that weight training was it was the way for health and longevity. You want to grow old gracefully, you're going to need a little bit of muscle, not this much muscle, but strength. It just made perfect sense to me as early as ages 10, 11, and 12. So I thought it was good for everybody. I mean, I try to get my grandparents involved in it. Yeah, I see you working out with weights in the basement. It's good for you, grandma. You should try this. Try an exercise. And they wouldn't do it, but I was always promoting and encouraging. So, I just thought it was perfect for women. And I thought that was the demographic to go after. Now, think about it right now. Lawrence, if I told you your podcast was not going to be successful for 10 years, but at 10 years from now, from today, you're going to be wildly successful with 1 million views every single episode. Could you wait it out?
Probably now I could. I'd say I've got more maturity now, but if you asked the younger me that, probably not.
It was difficult and
Yeah.
I was starving. I mean, the gym was making no money. It was barely just paying the bills and getting me some food. The beauty of it was I had my own place to work out, so I could work out for as much as I wanted. But yeah, 10 years of that, starving.
Yeah.
But I knew it was going to get there some point.
It's, I guess, one of the motivations for me asking you that follow-up question about females is because now we know that, and the data seems to be quite clear on this, that if you're starting a high intensity training or personal training business, that the busy professional middle-aged female who's college educated seems to be one of the best targets to go for, right? Best markets to go for, and seems to be really interested in what we do. It's just interesting that you were kind of ahead of the curve there. How did where does high intensity training come into this? Where did you first, I'm assuming there was one of the legends in here inspired you, maybe Arthur Jones or Ken Hutchins. Tell me more about that. When did that come into it?
Ken, let's see. The first thing for Arthur Jones, you got to go back to Arthur. Arthur is everything. So I wanted to be a bodybuilder while I was opening up my gyms and very young. I was into bodybuilding and powerlifting. I wanted to pack on as much size as possible. My body weight was somewhere in the 250 to 255 range. As a power lifter, I got to learn and train under a gentleman named Jim Williams of Scranton, Pennsylvania, the first power lifter to bench press 700 pounds. It's official. He's gone past that. He went past that back at that time. Nobody was anywhere near that. The next strongest guy was a 600-pound bench press. He did this in the 70s. Well documented. He even wrote a book in there. There's stories about it. So I won a 500-pound bench press, which I reached at some point. I wanted to be massive like Arnold and own gyms and teach people how to work out. That was great. Here's the problem. Every client that wanted to work out with you, they would, or prospective client would look at me and say, but I don't want to look like you. So I don't want to work out with you. And that became an uphill battle. Now, back when I was powerlifting and bodybuilding, I was doing very high volume, Arnold style workouts, 20 cents per body parts 2 to 3 times a week, chest and back on Mondays and Thursdays, shoulders and arms on Tuesdays and Fridays, legs on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Sunday, I'd probably still sneak into the gym and do something just for fun. It worked. I got big. When I was training people in 1984 and 1985, when I started training people, people were getting leaner, but the women were getting a little larger. They were saying, hey, look, I look tighter and that's cool, but I seem to be a little bit pushing my dress and my skirt out a little bit. And I don't like that. So I need to make the weights lighter or do less and this is gonna ruffle some feathers, but this is the way it worked. I remember and back in the early 80s while I was bodybuilding, looking at all of Arthur Jones' work and Casey Viator and Mike Menser. And these guys got massive on high intensity training and, went into bodybuilding shows. So I switched my training from high volume to high intensity. My strength went up, which was good, but I was a power lifter anyway, so big deal. But my size went down. I started to shrink. I wasn't taking steroids at the time. I did I did experiment with steroids a few times in my career, mostly for powerlifting. And when I got smaller. So I abandoned it for my bodybuilding. And then at some point when I realized it was my father that told me, he goes, how much do you weigh? I said, oh, a little over 250 right now, Dad, with abs. And he said, let me give you some business advice. I know you want to do this training thing. For every 10 pounds you lose, you'll pick up 10 clients. And that just knocked me over because I worked so hard to be 250 pounds, and lean that, it blew me away. But I thought about it and I wanted to be successful. I wanted the money. I wanted to be a top trainer. And that was before I never wanted to be a top bodybuilder or a top power lifter. That was like my thing. I wanted to be a top trainer. That was my ultimate goal. So I took it to heart. I said, well, how am I going to get a little smaller and a little more athletic looking? And, I'll switch to high intensity training. And that's what I did. One set per exercise, 1 or 2 exercises per body part. I went from my splits to whole body workouts 3 times a week. And I started to, when I got down to 240, he was right. I picked up a few clients. Hey, you look good. What are you doing? You look a little leaner. I'm thinking, you think that's good? Yes, they did. They thought it was great. When I went from 240 to 230, my business doubled. I was charging next to nothing at the time. I wasn't making any money at it yet. I don't have the business part down. But when I got down to 210, 212 pounds, booked solid. Everybody, what are you doing? You look great. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. Don't you realize that having a larger arm is the way to go? And I'm thinking, no, that's not what they want. So you have to really, if you want to be successful, it's not about you. It's about the client. What does the client want? And I found that the majority of the clients wanted smaller, tighter, stronger, healthier, did not want to spend any time doing it, and did not want to sweat. I got a great workout for you. And it worked.
So that's so interesting. So a lot of thoughts come up for me as you were saying that. Yeah, immediately I thought, if you were like really lean at like 250, and you went from high volume to hit? Like, are you just on that, what do you call it? The tail of the distribution where you just respond really well to more volume, it sounded like. Because nothing else changed, I assume. So yeah, I can see how that might mean that you might have reduced in size because it was all lean mass you were losing, right? You weren't losing any additional fat mass from what you're saying when you were at
Yeah.
250. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was, well, you know what? The muscles were pumped on a high volume workout. Much less pump.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right. So just to recap then, you reduced down in size, which you think was a really strong reason why you grew the business because people could relate to you better, right? In terms of their own goals, because you were kind of getting closer to maybe their ideal physiques, it sounds like.
You know, the average person doesn't want to look like a bodybuilder.
No.
Your doctors, your lawyers, your school teachers, they 99.9% of them don't want to look ridiculous in clothes. A 250-pound bodybuilder is not the norm. It's not, it wasn't even your average football player back in the 80s. There were very few guys over 230 in the NFL back in the early 80s. In the
How tall?
70s,
How tall are you?
6'2".
Okay.
So, and I actually got somebody from the Philadelphia Eagles came down and recruit me when they heard about my strength was great. My bench press was 225 pounds for 32 reps. They said that would be a record in the combine. Would you like to play? Come out for a tryout. And I kept thinking, well, I'm going to go out. I'm not a good football player. I'm not a football player. I'm going to go out there. Somebody's going to knock into my knee and I'm not going to be able to ever squat again. So I said, no. And not only that, football players were making about $70,000 a year in the 80s. There was no $1 million contracts.
Yeah.
It was struggling. So I'm like, no, this is a step down. I'll stay with bodybuilding and power and personal training. And fortunately I was right. So
the question I always want to ask people who stumble across Arthur Jones's work is why you? Why did you pivot from what it sounds like to hit brief, low frequency training yourself and your clients, whereas the vast majority of trainers don't do that? So why did you do that?
I'll tell you exactly why I did it. And in the mid 70s, I can't tell you exactly what year, but it was the 1970s. There was an article in a magazine about how Casey Viator on the Colorado experiment went and gained 63 pounds of lean muscle, working out, 30 minutes, 3 times a week. So I read, the before and after pictures weren't really done back there. You had Joe Weider's Muscle and Fitness magazine. I don't even think it was called Muscle. I think it was called Muscle Builder back then. It's a magazine called Strength and Health. All of our social media was these magazines. These magazines were everything. You couldn't find anybody on TV. Schwarzenegger was just barely having some sort of an appearance. But if you wanted to know about bodybuilding and strength training and powerlifting, these magazines were the only vehicle. Okay. So I see this before and after, this Arthur Jones guy. So I started reading everything about Arthur Jones and Nautilus and HIIT. And we actually had a Nautilus center open up in my town, which was, they were really starting to pop up, and it was 30 minutes. And here's the HIIT principles with moving weight slower, 2-second positive, 4-second negative for the cadence. And I wanted the 63 pound. Well, if this Casey Viator can gain 63 pounds of muscle, I'm 6'2". He was short, right? I could do this. I never did it. Not only did I never do it, nobody has done it. I've never seen anything in 50 years to indicate that somebody could recreate that workout program and those results. Not even bodybuilders on steroids coming off of a layoff were able to do it. So I had the information. I tried the workouts. Did I get strong? I got stronger. I thought they were great workouts, but I loved being in the gym. So 2 hours a day, 6 days a week was like heaven for me. It was therapy. It was wonderful. I got a great pump, but I had this information. I respected the information, but that's where it just kind of sat over here for that. At some point, when I realized I had to get smaller and leaner and keep my strength up, and clients wanted to get smaller and leaner, that Mike Mentzer, Arthur Jones stuff never worked for me. It made me smaller. Let me try it on you. And I started experimenting with clients. Nobody got bigger.
Yeah. But what you're effectively saying, and I guess I don't want to spend too much time on this because I do want to get into some of the other stuff, but is that if someone came to you and said, hey Peter, I want to maximize muscle mass, you wouldn't actually recommend HIIT.
No, volume. Volume is the
Wow.
only way to get bigger.
Wow. But what about all the studies in terms of Brad Schoenfeld's study on dose response relationships showing that higher volumes, whilst they were more effective, it was like not even meaningful in terms of the percentage, at least in that particular study.
Okay, so studies, and this is going to upset a lot of people.
Okay.
I would say I can't get on board with 99% of the studies because I've got many, many questions.
Mm.
When you read a study, 18 men between the ages of 26 and 32 with some training experience. Okay, question number one, was any of the 18 men genetically gifted? Were most of the, what diet were they following? Were they eating 1 gram per pound of protein, which is absolutely crucial for any program, any strength training program? If you're not getting quality protein and not pea protein and not soy protein, but if you're not getting quality protein in your diet, you're not going to get any result. So I got so many questions and there's no answers to them. No, they did not monitor what these people ate. Were any of them on steroids? You can't say for sure. They didn't drug test them. So, there's just too many things in there.
Yeah, fair critique. Yeah, that's sorry, Peter. I spoke over you then.
So I've read, I follow Brad Schoenfeld, and Menno Henselmans and a few other people. And, they're doing great work, but I can't get on board with a lot of it.
I think that's a very fair comment. Yeah, that's really interesting point of view. So let's, what happened next? So you talked about in terms of your first facility and how long that took to get that up to speed. What happened next in terms of growing
Doing
that?
great.
Yeah.
South Shore Muscle Fitness was when I say doing great, I paid my rent and I was able to eat food. So theoretically, the fact that I was able to pay my bills each month meant that I was a successful professional trainer and gym owner, right?
Right.
I wasn't on the street and starving. I was driving the most horrible car because it was only a couple of $1,000s, but I was surviving. A friend of mine came down from New York City to South Jersey because it was a very hot vacation area. In the summertime, I was packed. Everybody wanted to work out and go to the beach. So guy comes down and says, there's personal trainers in New York City now that are getting paid like $25 to $50 an hour. Holy, no. Yes. I took a day off. I went up to New York. I have family up in New York. I went to Manhattan. And how do you find a gym or a personal training studio in Manhattan? You arrive in Manhattan, you go to a phone booth, you pick up a phone book, and you start flipping through to the health and fitness section of the yellow pages. And there were 5 or 6 or 7 gyms. I would go to them. And then I found a personal training studio. And I walked in and tell me about your business. And yeah, this is, if you want to buy 10 sessions, it's $500. That's like 10 clients for me. Right. And, I went back, I sold the gym. I moved up to New York City, starving again. Now I'm underwater because I'm not making any money. And, I started out at $75 a week as a personal trainer in New York City in 1986. I don't care what decade you're in, right? $75 a week, poor and pathetic, right? But this was the place, and there were flying, there's 10 million of your closest friends in New York City on this island, right? So there's a market, there's potential. Gyms were starting to open up more and more. Mid-City Gym was a big bodybuilding, powerlifting gym. There was literally a handful. World Gym was not yet open. They were talking about it. There was no Gold's Gym. There was the New York Health and Racket Club, which was, racquetball was a big thing there. Weights weren't. There were very, very few gyms. I mean, you really had to travel to see a gym. So, but that was step one. So I got into a there was a personal training facility called, and it was just personal training called Definitions. Great name, great marketing. I went in there, gave them my resume and okay, this is impressive. You're a great trainer. Could you try this out? They paid me $11.44 an hour. They were charging $50 an hour to their clients. Of course, they had to pay the bills, right? They had to pay my salary. They had to pay for the overhead. You would classify it as a workout studio. It wasn't a gym. It wasn't as big as a gym, but it was probably 3 or 4,000 square feet in an elevator building on 21st Street in Manhattan. That was new to me too. Seeing the gym on the 18th floor of a building was really wild. That was a first. So $11.44 an hour, I started training people.
Where were you living? Were you living with family or do you have your own place?
My
Were you
mom,
commuting in? Yeah.
because I said, listen, I want to do this. There's personal training in New York City. This is it. This is what I want to do. For richer or for poorer, this is what I want. And my dad said, well, I've got to contact your mom and I will get an apartment in New York City and we'll come and stay on the weekends. And you can stay there rent free until you figure this out.
Wow. This kind of thing is so cost prohibitive now, right? I mean, it's crazy. Real estate prices now.
Well, I'll tell you exactly. The apartment they rented, which was only a couple of blocks away from the studio, was in an area called Peter Cooper Village. It's very famous in New York City. Peter Cooper Village in Stuyvesant Town. It's like a little city within a city of these buildings. My father was able to get an apartment. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, very large 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom for $500 a month. Same apartment today is going for over $5,000. 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. So yeah, it was affordable for my father. He had no problem paying $500 a month for a spare apartment. They were living in New Jersey and they wanted to come in on the weekends and do the city and Broadway shows and give me a place to sleep while I was doing the training at $11.44 an hour.
Is it wrong that when you said $5,000 a month, I thought that's actually not too bad with the way things are?
No. I know. In the UK and New York City and San Francisco, yeah, $5,000 a month it's commonplace.
The location's so good. It's super interesting. So what happened next? Keep going.
Well, so I'm training people at Definitions. I'm a one-on-one trainer in a one-on-one facility. This is groundbreaking new. This is my dream is coming true. And I'm doing volume workouts. We're doing 3 sets of 12. We're doing 5 sets of 5. We're doing, I'm shaking it up and doing different things. Now the clients aren't coming in 6 days a week, but they would get 2 or 3 workouts in a week with a trainer, and then they would jog or do something on their own or nothing. Right. So we had cardio there as well. And one client in particular, a lawyer, an accountant / lawyer for a major firm, came in and they paired her up with me. And she pulled me aside and she said, so you're my new trainer? I am. Where are you from? Well, I've got a bodybuilding, powerlifting background in South Jersey. And now I'm here in the city and this is all I want to do. Great. Well, listen, I'm wearing an $800 suit, which was a skirt and a jacket and a blouse, right? Look very professional and, high end. And if you make me grow out of this, you're fired and you'll never work in this town again. Yeah. Okay. So, now I'm proceeding cautiously because occasionally a client would tell me, my shirt's getting a little tighter. This is getting a little tighter because of the volume workout. So I had to make sure that there was no pump whatsoever. So I was, moving the weight slower with her, keeping it light. And I was really freaked out by this because, it was a threat. Right. And then at some point I said, you know what? I need because it's too boring for me. I can't give you a 5-pound dumbbell and stand there and count reps. It was just, so I need a workout that's productive, but stays within her guidelines. So hey, let's try this Arthur Jones, Mike Menser workout. I always got smaller by it. And I started doing HIIT with her and her strength went up, which was very exciting to her. Oh my God, I'm lifting this. This is great. And she started to shrink. And at one point she came in and said, I got good news and bad news. What is it? Bad news is my $800 suits had to be taken in. So I brought them to the tailor. And it cost me quite a bit of money to have these now tapered. Good news is because I got smaller, which is what I wanted originally. It works.
Today's episode is brought to you by Imagine Strength, your one-stop solution for safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. When it comes to high-intensity training, it's about the right workout machines intelligently designed for your studio. That's the specialty of Imagine Strength. Inspired by the legendary Alpha Jones, they've pioneered efficient and affordable fitness equipment perfectly crafted for your HIIT business. With a team that lives and breathes HIIT, Imagine Strength combines passion, innovation, and careful design into every piece of equipment, creating the perfect environment for an intense yet rewarding workout. So why choose Imagine Strength? Number one, they create innovative, tailor-made equipment for HIIT studios. Number two, they provide cost-efficient designs, making HIIT more accessible. And number three, they're committed to continuous innovation and refinement so your studio never falls behind. Elevate your HIIT business with a team at Imagine Strength. Visit imaginestrength.com to discuss your needs and select the gear that'll take your business to new heights. Be a part of the HIIT revolution with Imagine Strength and see how their equipment can transform your workout experience. Did her body composition improve though, right? I mean, did she lose more body fat 'cause maybe she adhered to it better because it fitted her, lifestyle better or whatever? Could that have been a factor too? That she
No
produced
lifestyle
both lean and
changes.
okay. So body fat you reckon remained the same, she just lost muscle mass.
The average, and this I've completed personally over 100,000 one-on-one sessions in my years. Okay. And I was always writing down work because everybody's workouts. I have many, many, many sessions documented. And the average that I would see, which is backed up by Dr. Wayne Westcott, I would see somewhere between 1 and 3 pounds of muscle increase. So you're saying, well, that makes you bigger, right? It's lean tissue spread out over the body. A pound of muscle from here to ankles is paper thin. Okay. And I would take off the equivalent amount of body fat. That was from the workouts. That's with no dietary changes at all. You're taking a client, you're saying, hey, you should eat a little more protein. Yeah, whatever. It's 3 martinis for lunch and don't bother me. So it had to come down to the workout. The workout had to be effective. So if I would get somewhere between 1 and 3 pounds, and in later years, it would be 1 and 5 pounds of muscle increase with somewhere between 1 and 7 pounds of fat loss at the same time, you got a body that was a tiny bit smaller, tighter, stronger, healthier, the whole thing, everything they wanted.
Tell me, I'm just aware of time here and I really want to get into some of the specific protocols, Pete. Tell me specifically what were the kind of things you were doing in terms of the workout protocols with people like that. I'll also link to you've got some great YouTube videos which you did with your publisher Simon and Schuster, and there's one where you talk about free 90, step 90, and ladder 90 protocols, which we'll link to. I saw that and I was like, that's going straight into our workout menu in our studio for sure because I love some of that stuff. But tell me more about the exact protocols, if you can, like be specific with what you were doing with some of these clients to keep them the same size and just give them maybe some fat loss benefit. I'm just curious what the protocol looked like.
I came up with a protocol. I went and checked out Ken Hutchins' Super Slow, and it was interesting and it got my wheels turning. But I couldn't 10 seconds forward, 10 seconds back. I had questions. It's a calf exercise, 10 seconds up and 10 seconds down is not the same as a bench press with my long arms, 10 seconds up. So we had some differences. I got certified in it and then took the course and I thought it was great. Loved the MedX equipment. That was my first exposure to it. Went home to New York where I was, at the time, I'm doing 80 sessions a week with my own type of high intensity training. And
working for this other business right at the time.
Oh, I'm making a fortune and the referrals are coming in left and right. You got to train with Pete. And I'll give you the heads up on that in a second. But I went back and it took me a few years, but I invented something called chronodynametrics. Chronodynametrics translates to timed strength measurement. And all of my workouts were done with a stopwatch. All of my sets were done with a stopwatch, I should say. and I had people moving um, for 90 seconds, no more than 90 seconds, because I thought after 90 seconds, the weight's too light. So it's got to be 90 seconds or less. So somewhere between 30 and 90 seconds. And I was judging the sets that way. Move as slow as you can. And then you get a wise guy who's, what if I could do it in 1 rep? Yeah, that's great. So I made it like a score. So ultimately I would give you 90 seconds. Okay. I'd say, Lawrence, have a seat on this leg press. Okay. Get in a position. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to do as few reps as possible at 90 seconds. I've got a stopwatch. I'm going to hit the button and say go. And you do as few as you can. The number of reps that you do is a score. So if you get 5 reps in 90 seconds, this workout, and the next workout, you get 4 reps in 90 seconds, your score is like golf. Your score is better. When you can get down to 1 rep in 90 seconds, we need to add weight. Because now it's too easy, too workable for you. I
And it
would
all,
have people with 8 reps in 90 seconds. They just couldn't control it.
right. So it all came down to a focus on control, moving slowly in order to,
Control, moving slowly, statics. We would do statics, time statics. I thought if a wall sit is beneficial, why can't you do it on a leg press? Crack it forward 1 inch, hold it.
this is brutal, Peter.
It's brutal, but it was effective. It worked. It gave the clients what they wanted and they got a result.
Yeah, I put one on Instagram recently in our studio, put it up on a quarter. I don't know if you're familiar with, I'm not very good at social media. I'm learning. But it's a reel, like a short video, and it just popped. It's got over 6,000 views. And all it is one of my trainers taking me through an isometric on the leg press. And I think everyone just enjoys watching me get absolutely crushed. But interesting how that one was quite popular. I wanna fast forward, and I really want to focus on how you became so successful, building a 7-figure personal training business, which I assume came later when you had probably your own spot and you were training people for $125 per session. I would love to hear how you did that. The numbers would be really helpful and inspirational. And also, as you were kind of alluding to during this, how others listening to this can learn from what you did and grow their business and get more clients and the problems you see. You said it before we started recording, how all the issues you see of why trainers aren't growing their business. Please elaborate on all of that. I'd love to hear.
I know we have a time constraint, and this may require another episode, which I'm happy to do.
We can go for 13 minutes if that's a little bit more than we said, if that's okay with you.
Okay. Let me see if I can break it down. So when I started high intensity training, I was going to clients or working at gyms. I didn't have my own studio set up. I was charging $50 per session. They were 1-hour sessions. And you try to drag it out with a warm up on the treadmill, right? Hopefully you kill 15 minutes there. Don't let them sweat. Go through your exercises, then a cool down and maybe some stretching. You're trying to service the client, stay within your price range and stuff like that. One day I walked in and just said, okay, mathematically, I'm getting your workouts done. Even if you did, 1 set or 3 sets per exercise in a dozen exercises, 36 sets, it only takes about 9 minutes of actual working time, right? So what's the other 51 minutes? This is ridiculous. So I walked in one day on a Monday morning to all my clients. And as I was seeing them during the week, listen, I'm still going to charge you $50 a session, but now it's 30 minutes instead of 60. We're going to remove all the bullshit, stuff that I know is a waste of time. And we're going to be more respectful of your time and my time. I didn't lose one client. So that was step one. And nobody was doing that in New York City, if not the world at the time, right? So it's 30-minute sessions, high intensity, and I removed everything that was unnecessary. Great. Well, I doubled my income. I was doing 40 sessions, was a slow week. So then we opened up a high intensity training facility, me and a friend of mine. Okay. He actually opened it up and asked me to come along. His partner bailed out. And I went up there and I said, okay, let's take this to the next level. We looked at Ken Hutchins, and then I developed chronodynametrics. When I developed chronodynametrics or time strength measurement, I was doing 6 exercise workouts, never more, never less. Okay. It was low back, leg press, pull over, pull down, shoulder press, chest press. That was the basic workout, 90 seconds a piece. Well, now I have the exact formula. I know exactly how long it's going to take me to walk a person through 6 exercises at 90 seconds apiece, right? It's going to take me the better part of 6 minutes. Okay, now there's walking and setting up the machine. Um, hi, how are you? How's your family? So a lot for that. Well, all of that, I got it down to 15 minutes. And that included scheduling. Now I had to have a good system. I have my workout charts, which were very easy to fill in and work with. Stopwatch was ready to go, always hanging around my neck. And then underneath the workout charts was my schedule. Don't let them leave without booking the next appointment. Write it down, get it in. There's a cancellation policy. Now I'm breaking 100 sessions per week. Well, at $50. So I'm making $5,000 a week, which is not 7 figures yet. But once you start breaking 100 sessions a week, you say, well, I can't do many more of these. 125, I think, is my record. So it's not a lot of work. Divide that by 15 minutes. You're looking at 25 to 30 hours of actual work a week.
So you were doing 4 sessions an hour, basically on
Usually
average.
3.
3, okay, yeah.
I would book them up and somebody was always going to be late or somebody was going to always cancel, which I still made the money. I still got credit for the session, right? I had a cancellation policy that was really strict. You cancel, I don't care if you make an appointment with me today for next month and cancel it tomorrow, I still charged you.
Oh, wow.
Because I was so popular. So I'm booking on an average 80 to 100 sessions a week. Well, now the time is to start raising my rates. So I went from 50 to 60 to 75. 75 was my most common for 15 minutes. That was my most popular product. If you bought enough sessions in advance, 75 for 15 minutes. So I'm making realistically $225 an hour, even though it was ultimately worth $300 an hour. So now the thing is, and here's the marketing part of it. My workouts, there's 6 exercises, right? They produced results. In New York City and any major city, your reputation is either going up or down. People are going to go to dinner, expensive dinners at nice restaurants, and hey, how you doing? You look good. What are you doing? I'm working out with this guy named Pete. I got a trainer. Really? I'm working out with a trainer too. Well, what's your trainer do? Well, we go to the big gym, New York Health and Racket Club. We do an hour of this and an hour of that. And I pay $50 and I go 5 times a week. Well, I work out with Pete once or twice a week for 15 minutes. I don't sweat. I wear my suit from work. I don't even loosen my tie. I'm out in 15 minutes. I mean, out and back at my desk in 15 minutes. And he charges $75. And it starts an argument at the dinner table. I mean, like sometimes a violent, that's ridiculous. That's bullshit. No way can that work. I'm bad. Well, I look better than you and I'm doing a lot less than you. That results in a phone call. Hey, Pete, this is my friend. He was out to dinner with me last night. He's got some questions for you about your workout. Sure. Listen, sir, a phone call is not going to do it. Come on in. I'll give you a free workout and you let me know. They come in. I crush them in 15 minutes. 9 out of 10 times, I can arrange the workout so they literally got dizzy and passed out. I just have to end with a deadlift or it was easy. Anybody could do it. Now, that wasn't the goal to do. Didn't want to hurt anybody. I needed to make a point. And when they were on the floor, usually, they're lying there saying, oh my God, where do I sign up? Well, I don't have too many more spaces now. So your rate is now $100 a session if you want it. And my attitude was take it or leave it because I'm booked. So now I'm bumping the rate up. And then at some point I had to hire trainers. I had to have a really tight facility with Medix equipment. Why Medix? Well, Medix is top of the line. You can't find it at every gym. I don't want equipment that you can go into your gym and find. I want special machines. Okay, here's my high-end special machines. We dressed really nice. I'm always in up like this, maybe a warm-up jacket over because the gym is always 65 degrees. We're keeping people cool. Don't sweat. That's not good for you, which was also marketable. People are running around saying, Pete tells me sweating is bad. Sweating is great. I sweat every day. Well, why do I look better than you? You should work out with me. They were marketing for me. They were booking me. Then, Lawrence, After all of that, I got a private, quiet studio. I got a couple of trainers working for me. We're cranking out about 300 sessions per week between all of us. There's your seven figures. Okay. You do the math, 300 sessions minimum for me and my trainers. And all my referrals coming in. It's all Pete, right? Chronodynametrics, Medex equipment. And then somebody walks in and says, I'm here because I heard about your workout. Sure, no problem. I would never even ask their name. Come here, come with me. I would ask them a few questions. How much do you lift on this? I put together my 6 exercises. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Call me or email me if you want to sign up. Push them out the door. I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to know their last nothing. Guy calls me up an hour later. Listen, I worked for the William Morris Agency. That was the most phenomenal workout I ever had. It's unbelievable. You have to write a book about this. I don't write books. And I hung up. Calls me back. No. Don't hang upon me. You don't understand. I'm like, I don't understand. Come into my office. We're going to get a bidding war for this. It was Simon and Schuster versus Random House. And my understanding was I was one of the highest paid first-time authors ever.
Oh, wow.
To get the rights of that. Simon and Schuster won the bid and published the 90-second fitness solution and asked me to change. Nobody can pronounce chronodynametrics. Can we call it 90-second fitness? Yeah, okay. I don't care. I'm still booked. So all of the success and marketing came before the books because I don't like people to say, well, that's what did it. No, I actually turned it down a few times. So it was a fight to get it.
Pete, this is so much fun. I'm loving the stories that you can tell as you go. It's just brilliant. It's going to make for great listening. I can't wait to publish this. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2, by the way, maybe even a part 3, because there's so many different threads I could pull here. Let's just, I'd just like to ask you one more question, I guess, on, you're enormously successful. What's really evident listening to you is you're a very strong communicator and you're very good at keeping things really succinct and concise. You're probably very well aware of that. And when I was watching your YouTube and watching how you're all these different, doing all this PR you were doing and speaking to different audiences, and you were keeping things really simple, which I think is potentially a recurring problem in our space is we overcomplicate it and we get too technical. I still do that all the time. When I'm doing sales, I'm like, Lawrence, shut up. They don't care about muscle fibers. And so that was really evident. So I encourage the listeners to go check out your stuff on YouTube. Just search Pete Cerqua and you'll see a bunch of stuff come up. But final thing I want to ask you is just to, I guess, in terms of what you see in the industry, you mentioned, you kind of alluding to before we got recording about the problems you see among our colleagues in terms of why they're not making 7 figures or not doing as well as they could. Maybe in a nutshell, why do you think that is? Is there maybe top 3 things or top 1 thing that comes to mind?
Yeah. So number 1 is they don't know how to shut up. Like the super slow people or the new client walks in and let me explain to you the 7 basic considerations of whatever nonsense, right? And bore these people for an hour. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. I used to say, come here. Let me ask you 3. How old are you? How much can you bench press? Great. Come with me. I mean, in 30 seconds, we're on our first machine. Never got anybody injured. I never had an injury or a death in 30 years and 100,000 sessions, right? So talk is nonsense. Nobody wants to hear it. Get in there and show them the results. Once I started moving somebody through a leg press at 1 rep per 30 seconds and their quads are on fire and they're screaming at me, I got you. You're going to sign up, right? So don't talk so much. Shove. Be an excellent instructor. Next thing is, and this is really crucial, body language. Or we're sitting here doing an interview right now. If I was sitting here with my arms folded while you're asking me questions, what does that tell you?
You're closed off.
I'm not interested. I
Yeah.
don't care about you. I care about me, right? Bad body language, or maybe I sit sideways or put my hand on my face, right? That's disrespectful. Trainers are doing that all the time. I see horrible things. Client, in a gym yesterday, I went to visit and talk to him about my $1 million trainer program. So, yeah, would you like me to do a free lecture for your trainers? There's a trainer eating an apple while the client's doing curls, taking a bite and chewing. I'm like, my head's going to explode. I'm like, you're not getting another client. It's not about you. It's about them, and you don't get that. And the body language and spotting somebody, putting them on an exercise that puts you in a really inappropriate position. Like, taking chest, for example. What's better? Putting a client on a MedX chest press machine where they're seated at the same eye level you are, and you're standing there with your clipboard, dressed nicely with a stopwatch. That looks very professional and gets an excellent result. Or lying down on an Olympic bench press where your crotch is now over their face so you can hand off the bar and spot them. And you can't tell me, well, the bench press is going to yield a much better result. Not for my clients. My clients don't want to be, Miss Olympia or a powerlifting. They want to be healthier. They want to live longer. They know they need to be stronger. So know the product, use the proper body language, the proper vocabulary, don't overtalk, and you'll start booking more. If I walk into any gym in the United States right now, dressed like this with a sport coat, clipboard, stopwatch, I wear black slacks and nice shoes. Okay. If I walk in there and say, hey, I'd like to be a trainer in your facility, I'll book more than all the other trainers combined within the week. They'll be gravitating toward, oh my God, this guy knows something. Oh my God. And then once I deliver a workout and that client goes around, he killed me in 5 minutes. The other one was taking an hour and 10. The other trainers are going, I gave me an extra 10 minutes today. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
Yeah. Those are the basics.
Thank you, Pete. No, I appreciate the reminder about some of this. Well, not reminder, just making it clear that those fundamentals are so key. So thank you for that. Really enjoyed this, Pete. We'll have to book another one. I'll follow up an email straight after this. What's the best way people to learn more about your $1 million trainer program? I love what you're doing, teaching people, I guess, how they can be more successful in their high intensity training business. What's the details for that at this time? How do they get in touch with you about that?
Serious trainers that really want to ask me a question, I don't charge for it. You can just reach out to me on Facebook, find me at Pete Cerqua or Instagram, and send me a direct message, and I'm happy to answer a question. I am going to be doing formal lectures at gyms where I won't charge for those. We'll book those up, and then from there, I'll probably put a more formal program one-on-one as it books up to the point where I need to charge for it to slow the volume down. But right now, feel free to ask me a question. I'd love to help.
Thank you, Pete. So that's Pete, obviously P-E-T-E, and then Cerqua, C-E-R-Q-U-A, for those who want to try and find you on Facebook. What else, Pete? How do people find out about your books and things like that?
Books are available on Amazon, which is where 99, Barnes & Noble, which is where everybody goes to get them.
Right.
The first one, 90-Second Fitness Solution, is this is a 10-year-old book at this point. And this has all the chronodynametrics protocols in it. If you want to be a better trainer, this is the book and the protocols that you would want to learn. I wrote the book originally for men and women, but the publisher at the last minute said, please make it 100% for women only, not men, because the women will buy the book and make their husbands read it. And they were about publishing what I did. And that's pretty much how it worked out. So if you want it for training information, this book will be very helpful.
Right. Thank you, Pete. And we'll link up to all those books and website, etc., all of that from the show notes over at episode 416 on highintensitybusiness.com. Pete, thanks so much for your time. Really enjoyed talking to you. I'm so glad you reached out. And as I said, I'll follow up after this to book a second. Everyone listening, please leave a review on iTunes. Really helps the podcast grow, help more people learn about HIIT and build a HIIT business. And again, to get more clients for your HIIT business, download our free anti-aging and strength training sales presentation, which you can get over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. You'll also get access to loads more free HIIT business resources, PDFs on how to attract more great trainers, how to drive more clients, etc. Lots of stuff, all free. highintensitybusiness.com/free. Pete, good to see you. Great to meet you. Again, lastly, for everyone listening, to get the show notes for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search episode 416, and until next time, thank you very much for listening. This episode is brought to you by Imagine Strength, your go-to for safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. Growing a successful high-intensity training business requires workout equipment that's not only high quality, but also intelligently designed to fit the unique needs of your studio. And that's where Imagine Strength comes in. Drawing on the wisdom of the legendary Arthur Jones, Imagine Strength has crafted a groundbreaking line of fitness equipment that's as affordable as it is efficient, giving your studio the upgrade it needs without breaking the bank. The team at Imagine Strength breathes HIIT. Their passion for high-intensity training shines through in their designs, which they've consistently refined and innovated for optimum effectiveness and user experience. From my personal experience at Rec, I can attest to the careful consideration and craftsmanship that goes into every single piece. My Imagine Strength workout was absolutely brutal, in a good way, of course. Now, what makes Imagine Strength truly stand out? They have innovative equipment tailored for the unique needs of HIIT studios, affordable and efficient designs, lowering the barriers to entry for a HIIT business, continuous innovation and refinement ensuring your studio stays ahead of the curve. Founder Jeff Turner and his team are dedicated to moving the HIIT industry forward and making strength training accessible to more people than ever before. Here's how you get started. Number 1, visit imaginestrength.com. Number 2, discuss your specific needs with the team. And number 3, select the equipment that will propel your business to the next level. Head to imaginestrength.com today and give your HIIT business the Imagine Strength edge. Be part of the HIIT revolution and see firsthand how their unique equipment can transform your studio's workout experience. Elevate your HIIT business with Imagine Strength.